Riley Evans clutched her phone tighter as her best friend Megan's excited voice filled her ear. "You're the only person I trust to plan my engagement dinner. Please say yes." "Of course I will," Riley replied, already mentally listing all the things she'd need to organize. As the owner of Enchanted Events, a boutique event planning business she'd built from the ground up over the last 5 years, Riley had organized countless celebrations, but this one was personal. "Thank you. My future in-laws are pretty intimidating, especially my fiancé's brother. He's very protective and has high standards, but I promise he'll stay out of your way," Megan explained. Riley laughed. "Don't worry, I can handle protective brothers. This dinner will be perfect." What Riley didn't know was that Megan's future brother-in-law was Tyler Cunningham, CEO of Pinnacle Industries, one of the largest shipping and logistics companies in the country. And while Riley was planning the perfect engagement dinner for his sister, Tyler was making plans of his own. The following morning, Riley arrived at her small but stylish office in downtown Portland. Her assistant, Zoe, was already waiting with coffee and a knowing smile. "So, Megan's engagement dinner. That's going to be a big one," Zoe said, handing Riley her latte. Riley nodded, taking a grateful sip. "The wedding's in 6 months, but they want the engagement dinner next month. Apparently, the groom's brother is only in town for a short window between business trips." "Do you know who the brother is?" Zoe asked, her expression strangely excited, some protective big brother type. "Why?" Zoe's eyes widened. "You haven't Googled him yet. Megan's marrying into the Cunningham family, as in Pinnacle Industries Cunninghams. Her fiancé Jason's brother is Tyler Cunningham." Riley nearly choked on her coffee. "The shipping magnate. The one who's been on the cover of Business Monthly 3 times. The very same. 32, never married, known for being brilliant and demanding." Zoe wiggled her eyebrows. "And extremely handsome." Riley rolled her eyes. "I don't care how handsome he is. If he tries to micromanage this dinner, we're going to have problems. Just be prepared. This isn't planning a birthday party for the local dentist," Zoe warned. "The principles are the same. Find out what matters to the people involved, create an experience they'll remember forever, and execute flawlessly." Riley smiled confidently. "Now let's get to work. Megan wants to meet at the Atwater Hotel at noon to look at their private dining rooms." The Atwater was one of Portland's most exclusive hotels, its restaurant boasting a Michelin star and breathtaking views of the city. As Riley entered the elegant lobby, she spotted Megan waiting by the concierge desk. "Riley," Megan rushed over to hug her. "I'm so excited about this." "Me too," Riley said, returning the hug. "And don't worry, I've been taking notes since you called. I know you want intimate but impressive, modern but not cold, and absolutely no salmon because Jason's mother is allergic." Megan laughed. "You're already amazing at this." "But there's been a small change of plans. Jason's brother Tyler wants to join us. He's very particular about family events." Riley's smile froze. "Oh, that's great. He's not as intimidating as everyone says," Megan assured her. "Well, maybe a little." Before Riley could respond, she noticed a tall figure approaching them. Even if she hadn't just learned who he was, Tyler Cunningham would have commanded attention. Dressed in a perfectly tailored charcoal suit that emphasized his broad shoulders, he moved with the easy confidence of someone accustomed to being in charge. "Megan," he said warmly, embracing his future sister-in-law before turning his piercing blue eyes to Riley. "And you must be the event planner." "Riley Evans," she said, extending her hand and meeting his gaze directly. "It's a pleasure to meet you, Mr. Cunningham." His handshake was firm, his hand engulfing hers completely. "Tyler, please. I understand you'll be orchestrating this important evening for our families." "That's the plan. I was just about to show Megan the private dining options." "Lead the way," he said with a gesture that was both polite and somehow commanding. The hotel's events coordinator, a nervous young man named Derek, showed them 3 different spaces. The first was too small, the second too impersonal, but the third a private dining room with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city and river beyond was perfect. "This is beautiful," Megan sighed, looking around the elegant space. "It can accommodate up to 30 guests," Derek explained. "The chef can create a custom menu and we have in-house florists and musicians available." Riley noticed Tyler examining the room methodically, his gaze calculating. "What do you think, Mr. Cunningham?" she asked. "The view is impressive," he acknowledged, "but the acoustics could be an issue. I'd prefer a more intimate setting where everyone can converse easily." "That's exactly what I was thinking," Riley said, surprising herself. "What if we arranged the tables in a U-shape instead of rounds? That way, everyone feels connected and no one has their back to the view." Tyler considered her suggestion, then nodded slowly. "That could work. I'd also like to sample the chef's offerings before making a final decision." "I've already arranged for a tasting next week," Riley informed him, pleased to be one step ahead. "Tuesday at 6 p.m. if that works for you." Something flashed in his eyes, surprise, perhaps, or approval. "It does. I'll rearrange my schedule." After discussing a few more details, Tyler excused himself for a business call, leaving Riley with Megan. "I told you he was intimidating," Megan whispered once he was out of earshot. Riley watched Tyler's retreating form. "He's certainly thorough, but you held your own." "Most people just get flustered around him. I think he was impressed." "I doubt it takes much to impress him when it comes to party planning," Riley said, though secretly she was pleased by the observation. "Don't be so sure. Tyler doesn't trust easily, especially with family matters." "Our parents died when he was 24 and Jason was just 18. Tyler's been running the company and looking after Jason ever since." Riley's perspective shifted slightly. "That must have been difficult for both of them." "It was. That's why this dinner means so much. It's not just about our engagement, it's about creating a new family." Megan squeezed Riley's arm. "Which is why I'm so glad you're the one planning it." Over the next week, Riley immersed herself in preparations. She researched the Cunningham family, learning about Pinnacle Industries' rise under Tyler's leadership and the charitable foundation he'd established in his parents' memory. The more she discovered, the more intrigued she became. When Tuesday arrived, Riley arrived at the Atwater early to meet with the chef and review the proposed menu. She was making final notes when Tyler walked in, looking even more striking in a navy suit that highlighted his athletic build. "You're early," he observed. "So are you," she countered with a smile. "I don't believe in wasting time, especially other people's." "A philosophy we share then," Riley said, handing him a folder. "I've prepared some menu options based on what Megan told me about Jason's and your preferences." "The chef is ready to prepare tastings of each." Tyler looked impressed despite himself. "You're thorough." "It's my job to be thorough. This dinner is important to Megan and Jason, which makes it important to me." The chef presented 6 appetizers, 4 main courses, and 3 desserts. Throughout the tasting, Riley noticed Tyler's decisive nature. He knew immediately what he liked and didn't like, offering concise feedback without hesitation. "The sea base is excellent," he commented, "but too delicate for a main course that needs to appeal to a diverse group." "The filet, however, is perfect," Riley nodded in agreement. "I was thinking the same thing. We could offer the sea base as an appetizer, perhaps." "Good idea." He glanced at her, a hint of a smile softening his serious expression. "You have good instincts, Miss Evans." "Riley, please." "And thank you. I've been doing this for 5 years." "How did you get into event planning?" he asked as the chef cleared their plates. "I was always the friend who organized everything: trips, parties, study groups. During college, I planned my roommate's sister's wedding when their planner quit a month before. After that, referrals started coming in. I opened Enchanted Events 2 years after graduation." "Impressive." He sipped his water. "Building something from nothing takes determination." "I could say the same about you. Taking over Pinnacle at such a young age couldn't have been easy." A shadow crossed his face. "It wasn't a choice. My father built that company. I couldn't let it fail." From what I've read, you've done more than prevent failure, you've transformed it. He looked at her curiously. You've been researching me, Riley, she met his gaze steadily. I research all my clients, it helps me understand what matters to them. And what do you think matters to me? Family, she answered without hesitation. Legacy. Excellence. He studied her for a moment, and Riley felt something shift between them, a mutual recognition, perhaps. You're right, he finally said, his voice lower. Those things do matter to me. They matter very much. When Megan and Jason arrived a few minutes later, the atmosphere lightened. They enthusiastically approved the menu selections, and by the end of the evening, the four of them had finalized most of the dinner details. As they were leaving, Tyler surprised Riley by asking, Do you have time for coffee tomorrow? There are a few more aspects of the dinner I'd like to discuss. Of course, she replied, ignoring the knowing look Megan shot her. My office at 10, he nodded. I'll be there. The following morning, Riley found herself spending extra time on her appearance, choosing a sophisticated burgundy dress that was professional yet flattering. She told herself it was because Tyler Cunningham was an important client, not because of the way his blue eyes had lingered on hers the previous evening. Tyler arrived precisely at 10, carrying 2 coffees. I didn't know your preference, so I got one black and one with cream and sugar, he explained, holding both cups. Black is perfect, thank you. She accepted the coffee, surprised by the thoughtful gesture. He glanced around her office, taking in the mood boards and sample designs. Your space reflects your work, creative but organized. I'll take that as a compliment, she said, gesturing for him to sit. What aspects of the dinner did you want to discuss? I've been thinking about making this more meaningful than just a meal, he began. My parents had a tradition of creating a memory book for important family events. I thought we could do something similar for Megan and Jason. Riley was touched by the suggestion. That's a lovely idea. We could set up a table with a camera and a guest book where everyone could leave messages and memories. Exactly. And I'd like to compile photos of them, childhood pictures, their time together. We could create a slideshow to play during cocktail hour, Riley suggested, her mind already racing with possibilities. I know someone who could put together something elegant and moving. They spent the next hour discussing details, their conversation flowing easily from the dinner to more personal topics. Riley learned that despite his wealth and status, Tyler preferred simple pleasures, hiking in the mountains, reading by the fire, Sunday dinners with Jason. You're not what I expected, Riley admitted as their meeting drew to a close. What did you expect? Someone more intimidating, impersonal? He laughed, a warm sound that transformed his serious face. I save that for business meetings. This is family. Speaking of family, I should warn you that my mother is coming to town next week to help with some of the preparations, Riley said. She's a former event planner herself and can't resist being involved. She might try to take over. I look forward to meeting her. Strong women clearly run in your family. The comment made her smile. They do, though she'll probably interrogate you about your intentions for this dinner. My intentions are simple, Tyler said, his eyes meeting hers. To create a perfect evening for my brother and his fiancée. With your help, of course. Something in his tone made Riley's heart beat faster. Well, that's what I'm here for. As he was leaving, Tyler paused at the door. I'm having dinner with some associates tomorrow night at Riverview. Their chef is supposed to be extraordinary. Would you be interested in joining us? Strictly professional research for the engagement dinner, of course. Riley knew she should maintain professional boundaries, but found herself saying, That sounds lovely, thank you. I'll send a car for you at 7, he said, looking pleased. Business casual. After he left, Zoe burst into her office. Tyler Cunningham just invited you to dinner. I heard everything. It's not like that, Riley protested. We're discussing the engagement dinner, right? Because he couldn't possibly discuss that here or at the hotel or over the phone. It's a business dinner with associates. He mentioned research. Zoe just grinned. Whatever you say, boss. But from where I'm standing, It looks like the protective CEO brother might be planning more than just his sister's engagement dinner. The following evening, Riley found herself in the back of a sleek black car being driven to one of Portland's most exclusive restaurants. She'd chosen a simple black dress that could pass for business attire, but was elegant enough for a high-end restaurant. When she arrived, she was surprised to find Tyler waiting alone at the table. "Where are your associates?" she asked after the maitre d' had seated her. "They had to cancel at the last minute," Tyler explained, not quite meeting her eyes. "I hope you don't mind dining with just me." Riley should have been annoyed at the obvious setup, but instead she felt a flutter of excitement. "I think I can manage that." Dinner was exquisite, the conversation even better. Tyler told her about growing up in Seattle with Jason, about taking over Pinnacle Industries when he was barely out of business school, about his plans to expand the company's humanitarian shipping initiatives. "Most people don't realize how critical shipping logistics are during disasters," he explained passionately. "Getting supplies where they're needed most, when they're needed most, it's literally life or death." "I never thought about it that way," Riley admitted. "Your work sounds incredibly meaningful." "It can be. What about you? What's the most meaningful event you've planned?" Riley thought for a moment. There was this couple married for 50 years. Their children wanted to recreate their honeymoon, which had been a simple weekend at a lake cabin because that's all they could afford back then. "We rented the same cabin, restored old photos, brought in musicians to play songs from that era." The husband had early dementia, but during that weekend, he remembered everything. Their first dance, the wildflowers he'd picked for her. She paused, embarrassed by her emotional response to the memory. "That's beautiful," Tyler said softly. "Creating moments that matter, that's meaningful work too." By the time dessert arrived, Riley knew she was in trouble. Tyler Cunningham was nothing like the cold, intimidating CEO she'd expected. He was thoughtful, intelligent, and surprisingly funny when he let his guard down. The attraction she'd been trying to ignore was becoming impossible to deny. "I should be honest with you," Tyler said as they finished their coffee. "I didn't actually have associates joining us tonight." Riley raised an eyebrow. "I figured that out about halfway through the appetizer." "And you stayed anyway." "The food is excellent," she said with a teasing smile, "and the company wasn't bad either." "High praise," he chuckled. "Riley, I know this is complicated. You're planning my brother's engagement dinner, and I'm not in the habit of mixing business with personal matters." "But," she prompted, her heart racing, "but I find myself wanting to spend more time with you, outside of planning discussions and menu tastings." Riley knew she should proceed with caution, but the warmth in his blue eyes made her reckless. "I'd like that too." Over the next 2 weeks, as preparations for the engagement dinner intensified, Riley and Tyler found themselves spending more and more time together. What started as coffee meetings to discuss details evolved into dinners, walks along the riverfront, and even a Saturday hiking in the Columbia River Gorge. With each encounter, Riley discovered new facets of Tyler, how his serious exterior masked a deeply caring nature, how his laughter transformed his entire face, how gently he held her hand when helping her over rocky terrain. When Riley's mother, Catherine, arrived from Seattle, she immediately noticed the change in her daughter. "You're glowing," Catherine observed over breakfast at Riley's apartment, "and I suspect it's not just professional satisfaction." "Mom," Riley groaned, "don't start." "I'm just saying I haven't seen you this excited about a client before." "Tyler isn't just a client," Riley admitted. "We've been spending time together." Catherine's eyes widened. "The CEO brother, Riley, mixing business and pleasure can be complicated." "I know. But there's something between us, Mom, something real." "Just be careful, sweetheart. Men like Tyler Cunningham live in a different world." "He's not what you'd expect," Riley defended. "He's down to earth, considerate. He cares deeply about his family, about making a difference." Catherine studied her daughter's face. "You're falling for him." "Maybe I am," Riley whispered. "But the engagement dinner comes first. I won't let my feelings interfere with making this perfect for Megan and Jason. The evening of the engagement dinner arrived with perfect early autumn weather. The private dining room at the Atwater glowed with warm lighting, elegant floral arrangements, and panoramic views of the city at sunset. The memory table Riley and Tyler had planned was beautifully arranged, with childhood photos of both Megan and Jason, a vintage camera for guests to take pictures, and a leather-bound book for messages. Riley wore a midnight blue gown that complemented the evening's color scheme, her hair swept up in a loose updo. As guests began to arrive, she stayed behind the scenes, coordinating with the staff and making sure everything ran smoothly. "You've outdone yourself," Tyler's voice came from behind her as she adjusted a centerpiece. He looked devastatingly handsome in a black tuxedo, his usually stern expression softened by genuine pleasure. "The night's just beginning," Riley reminded him, though she couldn't help returning his smile. "Save your compliments until after everyone's gone home happy." "I have no doubt they will." He stepped closer, lowering his voice. "You look beautiful tonight. Thank you, you clean up pretty well yourself." "Riley," he began, but was interrupted by the arrival of Jason and Megan. The dinner unfolded perfectly. The food was excellent, the seating arrangement facilitated easy conversation, and the slideshow of Megan and Jason's relationship drew both laughter and tears. Tyler gave a touching toast about welcoming Megan to their family, and Riley felt a surge of pride watching the happiness on everyone's faces. During dessert, Tyler discreetly approached her in the service area where she was checking on the cake. "Everything is perfect," he said. "Everyone keeps asking who planned this spectacular evening." "That's nice to hear, but it was a team effort," Riley replied modestly. "You're remarkable, Riley Evans. I've watched you tonight, how you anticipate needs before they arise, how you make everyone feel special, how you create magic out of thin air." His praise warmed her. "Thank you. That means a lot, especially coming from someone who doesn't offer compliments lightly." "There's something I need to tell you," Tyler said, suddenly serious. "I've been meaning to all evening, but the timing never seemed right." Riley's stomach tightened. "What is it?" "I'm staying in Portland." "What? For how long?" "Permanently. I'm opening a West Coast headquarters here." "The plans have been in motion for months, but I finalized everything yesterday." Riley stared at him, processing this information. "So you weren't just in town for the engagement dinner?" "No, that was the original plan, but things changed." His gaze held hers. "You changed things, Riley." Before she could respond, the catering manager appeared, informing them that it was time for the cake. Riley forced herself back into professional mode, promising herself she'd think about Tyler's revelation later. As the evening wound down and guests began departing, Megan pulled Riley aside. "This was more than I ever imagined," she said, hugging Riley tightly. "Thank you for making it so special." "It was my pleasure," Riley replied sincerely. "You and Jason deserve every happiness." "Speaking of happiness," Megan said with a knowing smile, "my future brother-in-law seems quite taken with you." Riley blushed. "We've gotten to know each other while planning this. It's more than that, and you know it. I haven't seen Tyler look at anyone the way he looks at you. Not ever." After the last guests had departed and the staff was cleaning up, Riley found herself alone on the balcony, taking a moment to appreciate the successful evening. The city lights sparkled below, and the cool night air was refreshing after the warmth of the dining room. She sensed Tyler's presence before she heard him. He joined her at the railing, his shoulder brushing against hers. "May I join you, of course." They stood in comfortable silence for a moment, looking out at the city. "I meant what I said earlier," Tyler finally spoke. "About you being remarkable. And I meant what I said about it being a team effort. You were quite involved for a supposedly hands-off client," he smiled. "I had my reasons. Yes, protecting your brother's special day, very admirable. That was part of it," he acknowledged. "But after our first meeting, I had another motivation." Riley turned to face him. "Which was, I wanted to spend time with you. I made excuses to be involved in every decision, every tasting, every detail just to see you. Her heart raced. That's quite an admission from a CEO known for his efficiency. I'm not always efficient, he murmured, stepping closer. Some things are worth taking time with, worth savoring. The intensity in his eyes made Riley catch her breath. Tyler, what are we doing? Something I've wanted to do since the moment I saw you confidently standing up to me in this very hotel. He reached out, gently tucking a loose strand of hair behind her ear. I'm falling in love with you, Riley Evans. I didn't expect it, didn't plan for it, but here we are. Here we are, she echoed, her voice barely above a whisper. For the record, I'm falling too, he smiled then, a full, unrestrained smile that transformed his face. In that case, may I kiss you, now that you're officially no longer working? I thought you'd never ask. His lips met hers in a kiss that started gentle but quickly deepened, his arms encircling her waist as hers wrapped around his neck. When they finally pulled apart, both were breathless. I've been wanting to do that for weeks, Tyler admitted, his forehead resting against hers. Me too, Riley confessed, though I tried to maintain professional boundaries. You did admirably. I, on the other hand, arranged fake business dinners and invented reasons to meet, she laughed. I suspected as much. Now that the dinner is over, would you consider having dinner with me tomorrow? As an official date, not a planning meeting. I'd love that. 1 year later, Riley stood in the same private dining room at the Atwater, surveying the elegant setup for tonight's event. So much had changed in a year. Her business had expanded, now specializing in high-end corporate events as well as personal celebrations. She and Tyler had grown closer with each passing day, his initial intensity balanced by a tenderness few people got to witness. Everything looks perfect, Tyler said, appearing beside her and slipping an arm around her waist. It should be. I've been planning this anniversary dinner for Megan and Jason for weeks. They'll love it, though I think they suspect there might be another reason for the celebration. Riley smiled up at him. You didn't tell them, did you? Of course not, though Jason probably guessed when I asked him to be my best man last week. Megan's definitely suspicious. She keeps asking why I insist on wearing this particular dress. Riley smoothed the fabric of her emerald green gown, the same one she'd worn the first time Tyler had taken her to dinner at Riverview, the night he'd admitted there were no business associates joining them. It's my favorite, Tyler murmured, pressing a kiss to her temple. Though I'm looking forward to seeing you in white. Patience, Mr. Cunningham. One engagement dinner at a time. Tyler chuckled, his hand reaching into his pocket where Riley knew a diamond ring waited. Speaking of engagements, are you ready for yours? More than ready, she replied, thinking of how they'd planned this surprise engagement theirs to follow the celebration of Megan and Jason's first anniversary. I never thought when Megan asked me to plan her engagement dinner that I'd end up planning my own a year later. With the same protective brother you were warned about, Tyler added with a grin. The very same. Riley turned in his arms to face him. I love you, Tyler. And I love you, he replied, his blue eyes full of promise. More than I ever thought possible. As they shared a kiss before the guests arrived, Riley marveled at how planning one perfect evening had led to the promise of a lifetime of them. Sometimes the most unexpected clients became the most important and, in her case, the most beloved.